Hello there.
How are you?
Very well.
Amazing.
Very well.
You're in the sunshine.
Right in the middle of what might be the most beautiful day of the week.
Love it. That's fantastic.
We all have we're all bored of cellars, so I figured I would take you to the vineyards again.
I think that's fantastic. It's always so exceptional when we get to see what's happening over there. You know, so beautiful.
It's quite exciting at the moment. We're starting to see a little bit of green.
Amazing. Good. Yeah, we both got on pretty early, so we can give everybody a few minutes to kind of get connected for lunch.
I've got my extra battery. We're good to go for an hour and a half.
Amazing. I know I'm seeing quite a few people start. That's fantastic. For those that are just joining Instagram Live, lucky enough to have Jean-Frédéric Hugel of Famille Hugel Winery, making wine in Alsace for quite some time. Since what?
It's a
couple of years.
Once you find something you're good at, you stick to it.
That's fair. Fantastic. Hello, everybody. Hey, Bruno. Amazing.
Hope you all had a lovely Easter. It's
been a nice week. I mean, here in London, it's actually a beautiful week as well. Really beautiful, kind of walking, hanging out in the park. So that's nice.
Same thing here. Amazing weather.
Bonjour, Beth. Matthew. Yeah, so it's been quite lovely.
I don't know if it's me, but you're breaking up a fair bit.
Yeah?
Hello, everyone. I can see a few hellos for me. It's not only for Jennifer.
No, it's mostly for you. I'm just reading. Cool. Where exactly are you right now, Jean-Frédéric?
I'll show you. Right now, I'm in the middle of the vineyard. So absolutely surrounded by vineyards. Surrounded. Right in the heart of Grand Cru Sporen, in one of our old vines of Grand Cru Sporen, and I figured I would also take you right near to a younger vine here, which is full budding, and we're just a little tiny bit south from Riesling. You can see the beautiful Vosges Mountains right there.
Beautiful.
With Zélambert on top over there, and a good view over the Rhine Valley, with the sun gently setting. So that's the Black Forest all the way at the back, and the sun is gently setting. Sunglasses seriously recommended.
Makes sense. So for those of you just joining, we are with Lunch with Alsace with Jean-Frédéric Hugel, making wine in Alsace since 1639. Jean-Frédéric is the 13th generation, and he took the helm back in 2016, correct?
Correct.
So been a fan of his wines for quite some time, and been introducing wines of Alsace, Hugel's wines to guests as often as possible. It's a fun way to introduce people to the region, and also so much fun with pairing, which we'll get into later as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. The magic of Alsace is that we have 7 different grapes to play with. So I'll find you a pairing.
Perfect. Also, I think maybe we can get started. It's just a few minutes after. Is that okay with you? Kind of get.
and people will be able to catch up.
Yeah. While I watch you slowly get a suntan.
I might be a little red by tomorrow morning.
Perfect. So I already introduced Jean-Frédéric, an exceptional professional and amazing overall person from the region of Alsace, a personal favorite region of mine as well. My name is Jenny Wagner. I'm currently the global head of wine for a London-based restaurant group, and more than that, a lover of Alsace. It's really fun to kind of get to interact with everybody from afar. So it's lovely to have you. I think we wanted to talk, different topics we wanted to talk about a bit. I mean, Jean-Frédéric, I know I kind of did a basic introduction. Is there anything you would like to add about your family, about what you're doing?
Well, cutting a 380-year history as short as possible. We've been amongst the lucky few to establish in Alsace at a time when there were vineyards available. There was a winery that was only waiting for us. So we're amongst the lucky few to be able to make wine in this amazing wine region. It's still one of the smaller wine regions if you compare to Bordeaux or Burgundy, but it is probably the one with the most dedicated audience. Whenever I meet people that drink Alsace wine, they will probably defend the region and defend their love for the wines over what anybody would be able to say. So be careful. Never offend an Alsace wine lover. You might get into trouble. So imagine the wine producer always take gloves to comment on an Alsace producer's wines. But in the end, I know many of you have visited, so you know a little bit about the scenery. We're located in the very picturesque middle-age town of Riesling. So if you come and visit, don't be surprised. You're entering the Wonderland in the way that most of the buildings are dated from the 14, 15, 1600s and haven't moved. So quite an extreme experience arriving from modern cities like New York or Chicago, I can imagine. But definitely one of the must-see places on the planet, and especially if your planet is seriously revolving around wine.
Fabulous. Cool. It's a really nice way to kind of set the scene. And as we were mentioning before, you're outside and kind of did a little pan of the vineyard there, which is super beautiful. And you were saying day today, so it's nice to see that for sure.
We're taking it. It's been a late start of the year. Huh? We've probably heard we had a little bit of frost earlier this month. Quite a severe frost that stormed across France. We're quite lucky to be in an area that is still quite late ripening. So it's also late starting. So we're right now in the heart of budding. Everything is starting to be alive. I'll just show you a few of the young vines I have here. Look at these babies. They're just getting there. They're just gently getting there. So these are young vines. Huh? They're not even trained on two sticks. So right now they're really in the early stage, and these are the old vines. You can see they're a little bit later. So that's the interest also of old vines. It's gonna avoid you a little bit of sleepless nights during spring, and so I think we're pretty unharmed right now. It looks much better than we feared a few days ago.
Good. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the 2021 harvest, since we're talking a little bit about that, and you know, kind of connecting that with frost and volume issues and things like your take on how that worked out?
Definitely. 2021 will be a harvest That was actually the main fear, the fear that 2021 would start over again this year, because 21 is one of the shortest crops in the past century. So we're starting to taste the wines. We're finishing some of the blending. So we're actually starting to taste some of the wines which are done with their élevage and their malo. The wines are actually quite stunning, I must say. We just wish we had twice as much. That's the only issue. So we're about on we're close to a half crop when it comes to yields. This reminds you that wine is still about it's all about agriculture. It's the starting point. You might we might talk a little bit about pairings, about distribution, about commercialization. We're lucky to meet our final customers in the trade of wine, but at the same time, at the beginning, it starts in the vineyards, and it starts with whatever nature is throwing at you. And unfortunately, 2021 has been one of those years that was extremely challenging. We've been challenged every single day. I've rarely seen that myself. I've never seen that myself. It's been a vintage where pretty much from March, April, all the way to July, everything that could go wrong went wrong, and then from August all the way to October, everything that could go well went well. So we saved our crop over the last 3 months, but that was worrisome. It's not good for the heart. It's probably gonna kill you one day.
So we have a few different wines to taste today. I think it'd be nice to kind of go into maybe the first wine and talk about. I mean, one of the greatest wines are the grapes, which is foreshadowed by Riesling, which is an amazing variety as well. It's good, and I think, it's not nearly as well known, maybe. Wine. Tell us about in Alsace, why it's special and how it kind of shows off and stand out.
It's well, first of all, I got to choose the wines. That's the little luxury about owning the vineyard. So I chose the wines, and I felt like I'm in my curry cooking phase at the moment. I'm experimenting quite a lot with curries at the moment, and I feel Gewürztraminer is often overlooked as a food wine, and so I wanted to show two Gewürztraminers and taste two Gewürztraminers and take you to the Sporen, which is Gewürztraminer heaven. Simply because I believe this grape doesn't get quite the credit that it should at the moment. We're very fortunate to host that grape in our beautiful region. We're extremely fortunate that the world cuisine is leaning towards a direction that is extremely favorable to Gewürztraminer. And I still feel that people do not dare enough to pair food with that grape. You know, it's I always do a little bit of trash talking with French cuisine, saying, okay, when we think about spices in France, we give 2 tons of with 2 cracks of pepper, and that's it. That's spicy. That's borderline hot. You need to be very, very careful with spices. If you start going a little more adventurous, you'll realize that there's another type of cuisine out there, and that there's one grape that goes absolutely perfectly with it, which is Gewürztraminer. So the two Gewürztraminers I wanted to show you today. Know your classics. We're starting with. I wanted to do the classic Gewürztraminer because it's at the same time the simplest Gewürztraminer we produce, and probably the one we're the most proud of, because my great uncle used to always say, and I probably said it a million times, and sorry for those who already heard it, but it's with the simple wines that you realize the seriousness of a winery. And if you're tasting any wines from a winery, always make sure you taste their first level, their signature, their business card, because this will generally be their largest production. Making exceptional wines on a tiny production that nobody ever sees, it's borderline cheating. It's not even fair game. Making a higher production, a quality wine, this is where we have to scratch our head and work hard. This is where most of our hard work goes.
So 18. So we're tasting 18. Let's talk about this vintage. Had you running a bit, yeah?
It's a it's a great vintage. Every vintage is great, especially the one you're selling. But more. Okay, taking away all of the double talk. Gewürztraminer is one of those grapes where the challenge today is more balance than ripeness. If you take all of the great vintages from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even earlier, the ripest vintage was always the best. And we're realizing more and more that balance is critically important. So we never used to have issues with acid. We never used to have issues with over ripeness. Now it's starting to happen. So you have to be extremely careful as to when you're picking. And this is really where all of the mastery, all of the craftsmanship in that wine is. It's choosing the right time to pick it. The objective being to maintain freshness, to have, I meet so many people that tell me that Gewürztraminer, they absolutely love it, but couldn't have a second glass of it.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I call loving a wine. If you love a wine, you want to have it for breakfast with cereals and all the way to the evening instead of your late evening tea or infusion. So you want to be drinking that the whole day, and that's with this idea in mind that we make this wine. We want drinkability, and drinkability is critically important. It's not about how ripe you can get it. It's not about how big you can make it. It's about how delicious and how much of a craving you can build on having something that is balanced and delicious.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is one of those bottlings that, you're talking about, you're in a curry phase. Like one of the first moments where I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, was a curry moment with Gewürztraminer. It was like, oh, it had this like beautiful lychee notes, it had tropical fruit, it had this really cool florality. It cut like the spice and a little bit of off dry quality was fantastic. It's a really fun, I mean, I think it's great for people who are in wine and already know a bit about wine, and also don't. So I feel like it kind of runs the spectrum of kind of people who are new into that variety and into pairing with it, and also those who have quite a bit of experience. I think it runs it makes a lot of people when you're introducing that sort of pairing.
And past the curry point, Gewürztraminer is the grape for flavorful foods. So give it herbs, give it smoke, give it any strong flavors, herbs, berries, anything that is one of the recent discoveries I've made was with Gravlax. Whatever I like to eat, I cook it at home to make it very simple. And then I figure out of ways to pair it the best. And Gravlax, when you go for a lot of dill, a lot of juniper, when you're going bold on flavors, which some people can be a little afraid of, because they still think, okay, I'm gonna have to pair a wine with this. When you have Gewürztraminer in your arsenal, there's no reason to be afraid of that.
No, for sure. I think this also kind of leads us into, maybe we should go into wine number 2, since it's also Gewürz, but different. And then we can talk about, I know Beth just mentioned Gewürz and cheese too, right? Which, yes, we'll go into a couple of things when we talk about this wine as well, because there's a lot more.
Let's do it.
Do it.
Well, actually, this wine was born where I'm standing, where I'm sitting, actually, because I'm trying to stay away from the wind. the Gros Syllois. First, I need to do a little bit of an Alsace class, Alsace language class. Gros Syllois, yes, because you probably didn't take Alsacien during high school. Okay, that was my guess.
Thank you very much.
No, well, we're all gonna learn something today.
I love it.
Well, Gros Syllois, it's basically Alsacien. It translates into great vineyard, great location. And when we're talking great locations and we're talking Gewürztraminer, we're quite obviously talking about the Sporen. The place where I'm standing, it's a magical place. And it doesn't look like much. If I take you to Riesling, I'll probably take you all the way to the top of the Schönenbourg because it's majestuous, south-facing, it's steep, it looks like a great vineyard. Gewürztraminer, the Sporen is more of a hidden gem in the way that it doesn't quite have the slope. It doesn't. The magic stays underground. It sits underground. It's this vineyard working that vineyard in the summer, and just a light shower ends up on the floor, and you're gonna have 2-3 pounds of you see, I can do pounds. I can do imperial. You'll have 2 or 3 pounds of mud on your shoes. It's incredibly heavy, and one element that we absolutely love with Gewürztraminer in the family, it's clay soils that give it most of its depth and intensity, and that mouth coating, that obvious lush, round, viscous character, which Gewürztraminer is all about. It definitely does best on clay soils, and we're lucky that the Sporen is up to 65% of clay. It's an absolutely magical vineyard. It can produce the best wines in the world, providing that you drain it well. Drainage is absolutely key, because you don't have the slope. You need the drainage.
Amazing.
Ooh, that's a different story, yeah.
So let's talk about 2012 is what we're tasting, right? So
yes.
Give a little insight as to what things looked like then. How is it playing out? I mean, it's so aromatic, it's so textural.
It's one of those cool vintages. So the ones that used to be the meh vintage, the ones that didn't draw much attention, the ones that were a little bit on the edge of ripe. On the edge of ripe doesn't exist anymore. So that's that range of vintages. The ripe vintages are 10 times riper than what they used to be, and those balanced vintages that used to be sometimes a little bit lean and a little bit weak, they're no longer weak at all. This is a bold wine. This is a rich and bold wine, and where that plays an enormous role is that you have structure, you have freshness with a grape that generally is desperately in need of structure and acidity. So we were very fortunate that those 2012s were cooler, was a cooler vintage. The wines were much more delicate, much more elegant. The downside of it, they needed an eternity to get there. The 2012s were just starting to release them because they took an eternity to open up. This was the most frustrating vintage in the cellar for close to a decade now, because we kept tasting it and going, no, either it's not there or it's not there yet. But I hope it's not there yet, because otherwise I don't know how we're going to sell this. And it's a little luxury we can afford to age the wines until their optimum release. So it's not optimum drinking window. You still have plenty of aging potential on this, but at least until the wines have something to show, which is an appreciated luxury.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking going from the classic Gewürztraminer into this bottle, and thinking about things like food pairings, since that's just been in my head, things to taste. And also you and I were talking about, pairing with cuisine, just because that's my focus at the moment. So I was trying to think of interesting ways to pair. I was thinking of kind of seafood, and then I was also thinking of vegetarian options, which is pretty cool. Because depending on your use of spice, like we have like a very crispy kind of a tofu dish with sashimi. So that 7 flavor kind of pepper sort of thing, little orange. It's so beautiful with this sort of flavor profile, but also I'm also really into the texture of these wines. You know, this
creamy and lush.
It's like it's palate coating, really beautiful. It's got all the kind of the flavor profile that's so prevalent and elevated, but the texture is so nice too. So it can kind of like it plays crispy textures and gets you through, kind of finishes off really beautifully. So I was thinking about that. And also there's a dish, we have a rabata grill. So it's like grilled pork belly skew, but it's a miso yuzu sauce.
Oh yes.
And it's like super nice because you have
that's gonna work.
Yuzu mustard miso. So you have the citrus of the yuzu, you have the texture of the pork, obviously, and then a little bit of that spice from the mustard. And I think about this wine with that, and I feel like it's a knockout. I think it'd be a really, really great pairing.
No doubt. Crispy pork belly works fantastically well.
Yeah.
I've been experimenting quite a bit with barbecue during my travels across the US, which was probably more on days off because I'll admit, unfortunately, too few barbecue places actually have a wine list. But in the end, you know, whether it's Carolinas or Texan barbecue, you can go mad with those wines.
Yeah.
And Gewürztraminer especially, it's less Gewürztraminer in my opinion, in my way of pairing. It's less about what you're pairing with than how you're going to cook it. In the way that it will obviously go with pork, it will go with beef, it will go with any kinds of meat or seafood. It's just a matter of how you're going to treat it. You're going to need to bring its flavor, to bring it richness, and that's a type of cooking we're not quite used to in France, which is extremely refreshing when I encounter it. And you need bold flavors. You need Cajun. You need North African. You need Lebanese food works fantastically with Gewürztraminer. Southeast Asian, Indian works fantastically well. The subcontinent is Gewürztraminer heaven. Whether it's with coconut or milk-based curries, but you can really bring it enough creaminess, enough richness to make it an incredible success.
I am kind of hungry.
I'm getting there as well.
I have to keep these
6:30. It's about time.
I know.
It's generally the time I start thinking about what I'm gonna have.
I'm getting to dinner as well, so
I have plenty of ideas coming through my mind. I'm scanning on my fridge right now.
Same. Awesome. So let's see. So now I guess we touched on the Gewürz, and now can we talk a little bit about we have our third wine, which you've selected? If you'd like to talk about it a little bit.
I wanted to do, okay, what am I expected to do and what will actually happen? And I try to do absolutely opposite of what I was expected.
Perfect.
So generally speaking, an Alsace producer would generally start with Rieslings and finish with a Gewürztraminer or a late harvest. And I went just the opposite, saying, okay, let's do Gewürztraminer. Let's start with Gewürztraminer, finish with a Riesling. And a Riesling, but it's a Riesling, but a little bit special. This is a late harvest, and it's been a fair bit of a family specialty where we've been quite renowned for our late harvest all across the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and until today, we're still seen as late harvest specialists. So why not? This is a late harvest Riesling, which is a 2013. I love Riesling. I love Gewürztraminer, but I love Riesling. I have a little weak point for that grape. There's a weak spot with me. I call it my desert island grape. If you exile me to a desert island, I'm okay to drink Riesling for the rest of my life, because it comes in so many different varieties of styles and profiles. If you're familiar with German Rieslings, you're going to have a lot of fun experimenting with Alsace because they're just completely other. And the same way, if you like your Finger Lake Rieslings for the New Yorkers here, you'll love Alsace because it's completely different. There's never frustration with Riesling in the way that whatever you taste, it's always going to be completely other from anything else you've had.
I'm looking. You're definitely not alone in your love for Riesling, that's for sure. So it's fun also to taste some late harvest as well, especially with a little bit of age. You've talked about. I mean, one of your favorite kind of topics is aged white wines. So, I mean, how does that kind of fit into what we are tasting today with both the Gewürz and the Riesling?
I personally consider those wines to be young, believe it or not, and I do get that seeing a 2018 white wine on a wine list for some people can be worrisome. 2018 at the moment would be where I would probably be starting to select and drink. The older the better, very often with those wines, and that's I've been raised on mature wines. That's another one of the luxuries that we have in the family. We have generations before us that have thought of cellaring some wines until ready. So ready can be 30, 40, 50 years old, even more. And so when we're talking about a 2013 or 2012 Riesling, we're still far away from peak, but you'll be starting to get something. These wines can take a lot of time. Always think of aging as a way to round the edges, meaning that if you have a very edgy sweetness, and that can be the case with sweet wines, you might have that mouth coating sweetness that feels a little rough and feels a little aggressive on the palate, and in the family we say dissociated. You have that. Yeah. You have that acidity and that sweetness that do not quite fit together. Some aging is going to help enormously with that, and sweet wines that might feel a little too rich in the early stage will just be luscious and delicious after 10 or 15 years. And so we always decide of our release times according to where we believe the wines are starting to be interesting to drink. Not only a matter of cash flow and making the bankers happy, because the bankers are always a little worried when they come to visit us. They tell us our inventory is a little high, which we say yes, with a big smile on our face. They don't see it as a positive thing. We believe it's critically important to you have to be true to your ideas. If you believe that your wines should be enjoyed after minimum of 6 or 7 years of age, then it's your responsibility to age the wines, not your customers. Nobody has a cellar anymore. Nobody sells wine anymore. The closest you can get from a cellar in a modern life is a fridge in your living room. That's as close as most of us get from a cellar. So having the luxury to offer mature wines to our beloved customers, that's also a matter of respect. We see it as a matter of respect.
And I feel like that also comes from, I mean, I feel like the region as a whole, some of the words, like I always think about authenticity. I think about history. I think about care, so there's a lot more behind like the reasoning of when you decide release times and when you decide these things. It's like it's just a matter of respect, as you were saying. And I feel like that comes through a lot with the wines from the region and wines from your family as well. So I always appreciate that part. I think it's also fun from a restaurant perspective to be able to talk to guests about that, because oftentimes you don't get that authenticity everywhere, and you don't get that ability to be able to taste wines that are so old, which is great. But I was kind of
which is a little luxury, which is once again a little bit of a luxury, and it's we all need to make money. We're running we're running a business. We probably get to enjoy our life a little bit more than most people do at work, but it's still a business to run. So in the end, you have to make the right decision for you as well. But we've always had a problem with short-term profit in the family. We're absolutely not against it. It's just that doesn't fit our way of thinking. And you have two ways to run a business. You run it to be profitable. That's the case for all businesses. But then some people run it for maximum profit in the short term. We run it for maximum sustainability over the long run. It's not about how quickly we can make money. It's about how long we can make money, and make it a profitable company for a few more generations. That's the magic of transgenerational companies. It's also a little bit the threat, because you know that well, we're all customers. We're all promised thousands of things, especially on the internet. And probably the part of it that is true is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. So pay attention to what you're drinking. That's the only thing I would tell customers. You have a responsibility of where you're investing your money, and quite obviously I wanted to go to people that deserve it, and when we run a business, we try to make sure that every single euro that we bring in is hard earned, and we feel we deserve it.
Yep. And I think I love all of that, but I also think it's like when you think of what you're saying there and understanding where you're putting your allegiance, like where you're spending money. It's like the Alsace in general is very environmentally, a lot of sustainability. There's a lot of care when it comes to the environment, and I feel like that's something that also allows you to have such longevity, because there's care for the next generations.
Absolutely. You know? As long as you're aware that the vineyards you're working will be in your children, grandchildren, and grandgrandchildren's hand, it's vineyards, whatever your viticulture, whatever you're saying, is one of the most durable crops on that planet. It's one of the most sustainable way of farming on that planet. We're farming the same vineyards for 2,000 years. If that's not a sign of sustainability, I don't know what is. And being a family company, we're doing our share on the last 380 years, and so far it's the same vineyards. Yeah. We're replacing the vines every 80 years, and then they go again. You see this one. This one's about 35, 40 years old, and it still has another 20 years of producing fruits.
Yep. So I guess there's so many great things to talk about. I really enjoy that you're on the vineyard too. It's so cool to see those old vines.
I'm sorry about the wind. It's been peaking up a little bit. It might seem like a tornado for you, because I know it's too much noise.
It's not that bad.
I can tell you it's a nice, gentle breeze from here.
It doesn't. No, you can't even really. In the beginning, it was a little windy, but it doesn't sound windy at all right now. So.
Yeah, I had to sit. Otherwise you'd be in the whirlwind.
So I guess I mean, thinking when you were talking about having the luxury of being able to taste like white wines with a lot of age. What is the oldest wine that you've tasted from your family? And what was it?
That was a Riesling 1924, Riesling late harvest 1924.
When did you taste it?
That was in London, by the way, about 4 or 5 years ago.
And how was it?
That was a life-changing experience, because if you had told me that wine was 30 years old, I would have believed you. That felt like time stopped. That wine stopped time. And when we opened the bottle, we tasted with a group of 10 or 15 people, and everybody stopped. Literally, there was not a single word. I think it might have lasted about 15 or 20 minutes, and literally you can erase those 20 minutes from time. If you see time as a, Stephen Hawking was right. You can manipulate time, and that's the best way to do it. I think wine is the best way to do it. Everybody stopped. It was incredibly vegetal. It was incredibly dilly and minty, and if you look at the color, the color was obviously quite dark, but still it was bright. The color was bright. There was no sign of turnishing. It was not losing any of its vigor, and the wine lasted for 15, 20 minutes, and then it was gone. And that was good because the bottle was gone.
I know, especially if you're sharing it with that many people. I can't imagine.
Yes. But you would be surprised how slow you can drink a wine now when it's really good.
I know, it's like sometimes you have it in the glass and you realize that you just keep putting your nose to the glass and you have to taste it after 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But that's also the sign of a really amazing wine, yeah?
And if you're a waiter, you better not touch my glass when I'm finished with it, because I'm going to hold on to that glass for another hour and a half. I'm going to be sniffing my empty glass. I'm an empty glass sniffer.
I'm a little guilty of that myself, so I understand. Cool. So let's see. So, I mean, I know that you and I can talk for a long time because we have, and we will again in the future. So if you think about, I guess to kind of wrap this up, and this is such a beautiful tasting and a really cool representation of what you're doing there. So thank you so much for the choices that you've made. So kind of, what's your summary of what makes kind of your region? I think I've asked you before, but what makes it special to you in just a couple of sentences? Like what separates Alsace from everywhere else in the world? What you're doing?
Alsace has probably the best ratio of quality wines over diversity of wines. You know, you can, for a super high quality, you might actually end up in Alsace never being bored, and always finding exceptional wines to drink. In terms of our geology, in terms of our climate, in terms of our grape varieties, it is absolutely unmatched. We're worldwide specialists for white wines. When I have a friend of mine, and I hope he's not watching, otherwise he's gonna hate me. Who asked me, I need a bottle of 2017 to age for my daughter. I said yes, of course, and we'll find more than one. Don't worry, but I'll get you one straight away. And he says, I'm hesitating between this and Burgundy. I'm saying, dude, do both. Obviously, do both. And he says, yes, but I'm a little afraid the Alsace won't keep up with the distance. I went, okay, first, you're an idiot. I love you. You're my friend, but obviously you're an idiot. And second, I would be more worried on your Burgundies, which is exactly the reason why I'm telling you should have both.
Yeah. It's like challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. Age a wine for 30 years. No problem. And yes, that's what Alsace has to offer. You know, you're able both to have delightful wines for you to enjoy tonight, literally tonight. And it's night. It's in 20 minutes. You can open it in 20 minutes. And wines that you might be able to keep for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And after those 50 years, you're going to go, wow, I might have aged this another 50 years. I wish the corks would hold up that long.
Fair. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's always such a pleasure. You're such a lovely person and such an awesome kind of light in the region. So thank you so much.
I wouldn't have wanted anybody else to share that talk with.
Wonderful.
It's already the second. I think there will be a third under what circumstances I don't know, but that was an excellent excuse to spend an evening in the vineyards.
Perfect, and I love it so much. We'll get together again soon. I just want to thank everybody for attending Lunch with Alsace, our little Instagram chat today with Jean-Frédéric Hugel, and some really awesome wines. And we hope to connect with you again soon.
Alsace is beautiful. The weather's great. Come and visit. Hurry up.
Yeah, and
guys, if you've never been, where are you? What are you doing?
Get over there. Look at the sun.
Of course.
Awesome.
It's stunning. And delicious. We're gonna make you fat and drunk, but you're gonna love it.
That's fine. That sounds good, actually. But awesome. I'll speak with you soon. Thank you so much to everybody for attending, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
And drink Alsace.
And drink Alsace.